Welcome, my name is Diablo68 and this is Game in Existence, the channel where we go over everything to do with games. Today we're having a look at Endless Space 2 Alpha. They've done a patch which came out in February 2017 and it's the Horatio patch, so let's have a look at it. Shockingly, the Horatio patch introduces the race Horatio, the faction, and in Endless Space 1 they were my favourite race, they were my power race to play, being able to clone your heroes and things, it was just ridiculous. They've got rid of, or at the moment they've got rid of the cloning of heroes because the heroes work a little bit different in Endless Space 2, but they do have this gene hunter which is quite interesting. It's like you can add specific traits onto your race, which is quite cool as you go through. So let's have a look at how it works in the game. If you hadn't seen my long video when the alpha first came out, I recommend having a look at that. This video is going to be much shorter and just go over the major changes in the Horatio patch. And one of those things, as I mentioned in that longer video, I really didn't like the fact that they'd copied the basically the exact same sort of template as they had in Endless Legends. Now what they've done, they've massively revamped the tech tree. In a way, it kind of looks a little bit similar to Endless Space 1. They still have these era-based systems. If you see this like orange line, that's because I haven't done enough technologies, not over their entire tech tree, but in this specific quadrant, this economy and trade section. So if I do say these other two researchers here, it will probably then unlock this next row, so I have another choice between 5 or 6 here, and then same again, if I do say 3 in that row, I'll unlock the last row. So they kind of have kept an era-based system for whatever reason. They obviously didn't like Endless Space 1 where you could just go all over the place wherever you want. And this is a vast improvement of what they had before the Horatio patch. It's still not great. It's still a little bit confusing, and obviously it's going to be fleshed out and there's going to be a lot more stuff to go through. But it is definitely a step in the right direction. I'm not going to slate it quite as much as I did in my first sort of alpha review for Endless Space. And they've also brought in some choices. If you have these researchers here, if it's got this like dash or a line in the middle on either side, then you can only choose one or the other. So it's giving you those option-based researches. Do I want this or do I want that? Which is quite cool. You know, it kind of keeps it a bit interesting. Masters of Orion had something similar where you unlocked research, but you only got to choose, say, 2 of the better bonuses that came from it out of the 3 or 4 that you had. It does make it interesting. Obviously, I hope it's going to be fleshed out a little bit more. They've got a lot of it in the military of basically, you know, do you want a really good sort of defensive thing for shields, or do you want a really good defensive thing for you know, armor basically? And those are kind of the options it gives you. It'd be interesting to see if they flesh it out a bit more. And they've got a similar thing. Do you want to unlock advanced defensive ships or advanced offensive ships? And you can only choose one or the other. You can't have everything that you want. So it is interesting. It's definitely a much better system. In my mind, I think I would quite like, I see where they're going with the quadrant thing. I would quite like almost like nodes you unlock, and say you unlock, you know, this ship, and then you have another, say, 4 nodes around it, and depending if you do all of those nodes, it really increases the military ideology or sort of government ethics that goes through. Or if you do all of those, you get cheaper researches on this next row that you go through. Or potentially you might, you know, it might be a negative. You might want all of those researchers, but you don't want to give the sort of militarists that much power, so you'd only do 1 or 2. I don't know. See, that seems like it could be interesting. Maybe that's the way they're going with this, and we have to see how it works. But the tech tree is definitely much better than how they originally released it in the alpha. A really nice addition that they brought out in the Horatio patch, or potentially it was in the original one. I just didn't notice it because there's so much going on, and that's the fact that you have this spaceport section, and 3 of them are locked. I'd assume some technology I do later unlocks those. But basically, you can choose a destination to export. It looks mainly like food and things. It doesn't look like you export population. But basically, I could choose one of these, and I could see, you know, this place is obviously, it's got 1 population. It's something I've just colonized, so I'm going to export to this place. So now when I have additional, well, I'd assume how it works. I've seen it sort of it sends out food and things like that. But effectively, any sort of food and potentially maybe industry, I don't know, that goes over of what I need on this planet. So say I've got max population on everything, it will send out the spare food in a little ship, and the little ship, maybe there's some around here. I think those are all military ships. I don't think you can overly see them, but it's sort of, they then have, oh, here they go, here we go, this ship, and you can see down the bottom left, it's cargo, 269 food, destination Cran. So that ship is a little automated ship. It's going around on my shipping lanes, and it's going to go to wherever Cran is, down here, and because it's got one population, it desperately needs food, so I'd assume it's going to deliver that, and this is going to get a boost rather than in 3 turns I'm going to get a population instantly, or next turn or something like that. Really interesting, really like that. That is definitely a great addition. But also it then makes it so your space lanes, it comes up and says, you know, the red AI, whoever it is here, he's just blown up one of your ships and you've lost 300 food or whatever, and you sit there and go, what the hell, computer? That's really annoying. I'm going to go kick your ass now. It's really interesting. And I would like it. I'm not sure if I've seen it yet. I would like it on these, you know, when you have systems where you've got max population like this. You can see I'm going to get a population next turn. Maybe it does this already, I don't know. But if a population is going to jump onto one of these ships and fly off, that would be super cool. I'd really like that. Really nice addition. And I wonder if they're going to, using population going around, trade companies, which I'll go into in a bit more, making it a bit more interesting with these lane-based systems. Because the lane-based system, again in my previous video, I say it kind of locks down a lot of the strategy, but it would make it a bit interesting if you really need to start having fleets defending all of these different sections, because you don't want these ships to be blown up. You're going to lose economy, or it's going to impact your expansion. Really, really nice addition. They're definitely on the right wavelength with how cool it is and how easy it is to do. Again, something that the End of Space guys do really well, bringing in new systems which are just cool enough that you can add a little, you can customize it. It adds depth to the game, but it's not micromanagement hellhole. The ship design hasn't changed much since the original alpha release, which is a bit of a shame. I really hope they're going to really bring in a lot more cool stuff, especially in this support module as well. At the moment, it's basically just increased damage on your weapons, have extra health, a little bit of fleet defense for the entire fleet. I really want a load more different things on here that you can then really customize your fleet. They're trying to move away a little bit of this rock, paper, scissors. You still have basically, I've got loads of shields and you happen to have lasers which stop shields, so that's great. Or I've got loads of kinetic weapons and you've got loads of armor. Okay, I'm screwed, kind of thing. It's a little bit annoying. I like the Stellaris system that they've got. Just enough customization, using the different ships. I still feel at the moment of just, you unlock the best ship, you build a load of those. They've got more hit points, they've got more slots. That's just what you do. In Stellaris, I really felt you were rewarded for having different level of ships, having different ones which got in the way, some with point defense, things like that. Some bigger battleships which are more like support carriers and things like that, which at the moment End of Space just isn't achieving, and I really hope they do something with it. Something which is quite cool in how they've at least got it at the moment. This is probably going to change, obviously, when it gets into release, and that's the fact that these planets you can unlock colonizing different planets far easier and quicker, and especially going into somewhere around here or where it is, into gas giant planets as well, because that was one of the things that sometimes in the original End of Space you would have a lot of time where just loads of systems were just like, oh, I just can't do anything with them. They're all gas-based systems. I just can't get anywhere. Especially with the fact that if you colonized a system which didn't really give you any food or anything, it was an absolute nightmare to try and actually achieve anything on that system. Whereas actually they've made it so you can actually colonize some of the harder planets a lot quicker. like this system, 3 gas giant planets, and there's one here of 26 production. With the fact that you can have other colonies will send their little ships along with food and things, and the fact that you can get in there and do stuff, it makes it actually colonising these harder planets a lot easier, and it makes the beginning of the game a lot more fun of jumping in and colonising this gas giant and sitting there and going, well, I'm going to have massive loads of production. I'm only going to have one guy on there, but I'm going to get loads of production, so I'm going to build my extra food producing stuff, and I'm going to get this system getting somewhere, and also I'm going to manually go in, I'm going to make this system and this system and this system, send their surplus food down here, and I'm going to quickly colonise this system. Really interesting, and it just stops that kind of like, well, this is a dead system for ages until like, you know, halfway through the game, and then I have to do a round of going round and colonising the old systems which are rubbish and terraforming them and blah 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 blah. It's quite cool. I like it. Speeds up the game, the beginning of the game a bit more. You know, you jump in. I could colonise this whatever planet it is here, and then I quickly got the gas giant planets, and now I've colonised these ones as well. It's just quite cool. Like how they've done it. They've tried to simplify sort of attacking troops and certain things where you need manpower on your ships by splitting the population from the sort of population you have on your planets which exploit resources, and then you have this manpower option here. So presumably I haven't actually bothered to build any ships with troops on just yet, but presumably if you wanted ships with invasion, they would have on there 100 manpower, things like that. Or I guess if you get fighters later on, they might have manpower. And there are different things you can do. I think here this building increases the maximum stock of manpower, so I guess this would go up to 300. And I think this is affected by food as well. And there are other things you can do, things that you convert sort of percentage extra food to manpower, and I think there's another one where that's it, you can convert one population into 300 manpower. And I think this also works for when your system is invaded, so you might get somebody might do an invasion, and you might say you have 1,000 manpower, you might lose say 500 in a couple of turns of them trying to take your planet, so you might convert some of your population into manpower, so you've got more invasion survivability. I think it's a good addition. It's just it was a little bit complicated in Endless Space 1. You didn't really know how it worked. Hopefully this will make things a little bit simpler. Once you go through some of the tech tree, you get to unlock trading companies, and you can then purchase additional ships. You can see I've got 2 ships, and I assume these go through my trade lines, like the food shipping ones as well. And so you can purchase additional ships, and then you get more money and things. And you can see over here, this is what I'm getting each turn from this trading company. So some sort of luxury resources which are nice, and research and money, and I think it's got on here you get a company headquarters, and I've got 1 out of 3 trading subsidiaries, so I guess I can get 2 more elsewhere, and then external trading as well if I get things with other with computer and stuff like that, or other players, and I'd assume I then get to unlock additional trading companies. So this actually looks quite interesting. Presumably these ships can get blown up and I will lose money or whatever it is that they've got, similar to when my little ships get blown up when they've got their food that they're transferring and things like that. So it seems like a cool addition to the game. It'd be interesting to see what goes on. Marketplace still seems to be the same as it was. Again, if you haven't seen my previous video, I said I really don't like the marketplace, and the fact that you have to keep going back in there and buying stuff. In a way, this trading company is almost what I want instead of the marketplace. I'd like a trading company, and instead of going in and going, oh god, I need to buy these super spuds every time, I'd rather just sit there and say, right, this trading company, okay, you're getting this, but actually I'd prefer try and get super spuds more or something. I don't know, it just makes more sense to me, rather than having to quickly go back into this thing and keep doing stuff and things. You know, it's a little bit annoying. That being said, they have started to try and improve this. As you can see, for this advertise thing, and you can see on here, this is my advert, and Empire needs titanium. So you can go in here and you can do it whether you want to be anonymous or not, and you can put on there what you want and how much you're willing to pay for and how many turns. This is exactly what I was saying I wanted. And you can do, different similar things with different ships and things and resources. This is definitely a step in the right direction. I really didn't like having to go back in and manually do it each time. So that is interesting. I still wonder if this marketplace is really needed, or whether just these trading companies makes it more interesting, especially if then having to try and protect fleets as you go around. But it's in the game, so I guess we just have to see how it works. Another quite cool addition is this gene splicing, which I think is just for the Horatios, like their special power. But potentially, I don't know if this gene splicing will be able to be added on as a customizing race thing that you can have, because actually it's really quite cool. I really enjoy it, and that's the fact that like my Horatios start with +3 happiness per Horatio person. So if we go on a planet, you can see you have your different population. So my Horatio at the moment, if you look down the bottom left, they've got the 3 base happiness, the thumbs up, and that's what they start with. But I've spliced an additional 1 science and 1 food from other races, which I've sort of assimilated into my population. And again, I don't entirely know how it works, or maybe they haven't quite fleshed it out yet. But I had these Zavali people, and they had on there, they start with 2 happiness and +3 science. So I think a gene splice I managed to add, I think the Horatio start with just 2 happiness, sorry. So I've managed to splice 1 happiness and 1 science onto all of my Horatio. And then because I've then assimilated the amoeba, which have +1 food, I've then spliced the amoebas, or they have +2 food. I've then spliced one of their +1 food onto my Horatio population. So now I'm getting +3 happiness, +1 science, +1 food on all of my Horatio people. It's quite cool. I really quite like that. It's interesting. And again, assuming, depending what you do with the sort of the political ideology, if you do lots of military or if you keep on doing industry stuff, you would get industry people, and you might sit there, because I quite like to add 1 or 2 industry, because I like to get industry and smash out a load of ships and things. This is a really cool addition. It'd be a shame if it is just on the Horatio, because actually it seems quite cool. I really quite enjoy going around and doing it. And you sit there and go, I found the amoeba over here, and was like, actually, yeah, I do want to sort of spend my influence and sort of assimilate you into my population because I want your food. Or, if I found sort of another civilization, another minor races, they call it, I might want to try and assimilate them because they're better at industry, things like that. It's quite cool. Like I say, it'd be a shame if it is just for the Horatio, but I have a feeling it might well be. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see some more videos similar to this, then look on the screen now at the links on the page. You can see the alpha review in a lot more detail. I've also got top 5 4X games, which is well worth a look. As always, click the subscribe button if you want to see similar content to this in the future and be notified about it. Thanks for watching.